So y'all remember back when Trump was being interviewed by Hannity and Hannity asked him about being a dictator and Trump said, I'll just do it on day one. I'll just be dictator on day one. And then after that, I won't be dictator anymore. And the crowd all just sat there and laughed. And I said, well, that's never happened in human history. Never before has someone came in, been a dictator for one day, and then just turned democracy back over to the people and business went back to business as usual. That's never happened. And every time I said that, someone would chime in and say, oh, well, Brando, you're being hyperbolic. He really wouldn't do that. Or they'd say, we're cool with it. As long as he does what we want to do, just let him do it for one day and get everything straightened out. And I was always sitting there going, you really think this guy can solve all your problems in just one day? Oh, yeah, man, just let him try it. He just said for one day. He didn't mean forever. He just said for one day. Well, we're on day 10, and he's still governing like a dictator, and he's still terminating the Constitution anytime he sees fit. And there are people who are just going along like business as usual, like nothing to see here. I truly envy those who aren't paying attention. I do. Because the ones that can just go through their life, watch whatever game's coming on next, get caught up in whatever TV show they get caught up in, I envy those people. Because I will sit down to watch a show after a long day of doing this, and I'll sit down to watch a show, and it takes me a minute to be able to get into the show because it takes me a minute to decompress and wind down and go, okay, yeah, let's watch that Landman show with Billy Bob Thornton. He's one of my favorite actors. Let's watch that. And then I get about 15 or 20 minutes into it and I have to back up and start over so that I can actually concentrate on the show. I sometimes envy the ones who are just going on about their day like nothing is happening while everything burns to the ground. And there are a whole lot of people that are scared right now. There are a whole lot of people who are unsure, and that's because they're paying attention. And I know one group of people who's been paying attention for a long time to the things that Donald Trump has said, and that's the transgender community. They've been paying very close attention to what Trump has said because he's made them a big part of his campaign. It always came up on the campaign trail. He made up ridiculous stories about kids going to school and having surgeries, and no one could find one instance that ever happened. That didn't happen, but he was able to lie and get away with it. And what he did was just sit back and stir more and more hate on the transgender community. And I've talked to so many transgender people who have reached out and talked to me. I've had conversations with them, and they've talked to me about their concerns and their fears. And they were talking to me before the election, and they've been talking after, and now they're more terrified than ever because of the world they're living in. Are they going to be able to live openly amongst us? It's just truly, truly sad that we're here. And what's even more sad to me is that this goes to the point that Trump will say now that transgenders can't serve openly in the military. You're talking about people who wants to serve their country, and coming from a guy, by the way, who didn't serve his country. Trump didn't serve his country, but he wants to decide who can openly serve and who can't. And it's just one of the most disgusting things that we've ever had to live through. But we're here, 10 days in, we're waiting on him to give it back, and he's not yet, so we'll see how it goes. But I did want to read this article here from MidasNews.com because there are some transgender service members who are fighting back, and I hope more of them do. So we're going to pull this up here. This is from MidasNews.com. This is by Aaron Parnas. Transgender service members sue Pete Hegseth over ban. This is the first of many lawsuits to come against Hegseth and the Department of Defense. So, 6 transgender service members have officially filed a lawsuit against Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and the Trump administration over the recent executive order signed by Donald Trump that prohibits transgender service members from serving in the United States military. The service members filed today's lawsuit in Washington, D.C., seeking to block the executive order from taking effect. Yesterday, Donald Trump signed an executive order that blocked transgender Americans from serving in the military. Despite that, the 6 transgender service members had served in the military for several years and have even built their lives around their service. In addition to the service members already in the military, 2 of the plaintiffs are prospective service members. The lawsuit argues that the ban on service members is a violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution. You know, folks, I didn't serve in the military, but I respect those that do. And I don't care how anyone that serves in the military lives their life. Whatever they want to do in their personal life, however they choose to identify, however they choose to live their life, that's their business. But MAGA wants the military to be an exact reflection of them. just like they want the law to be an exact reflection of them. Because we saw Donald Trump pardon the January 6th insurrectionists. They were perfectly okay with those people breaking the law. They were perfectly okay with those people beating police officers over the head. They had no problem with that because they wanted the law to carry out what they wanted carried out. And they want the military to carry out what they want carried out. And they want to focus on this group of people and put all their animosity and all their hatred toward this one group of people. And that's all that this is. I was looking it up, and as of September of 2023, 2.8 million people serve in the military. Now, I'm getting different numbers from different sources on how many transgender people are in the military. I've heard the number is around 8,000. Other sources said it might be as high as 14,000. But again, Trump and MAGA goes out of their way to pick on transgender people and make that part of the argument. And there's no other reason than their bigotry. There can't be in my mind. Because if they truly cared about the military, and they truly cared about the rule of law, and they truly cared about the government staying out of everyone's lives, they're always the one that says the government should not get involved in anyone's life. But they're perfectly okay with the government stepping in here and telling transgender members that they can't serve. They're perfectly okay with the government stepping into a woman's doctor's office and telling her what she can and can't do with her body. So the hypocrisy is on every side of this. And the biggest hypocrisy to me is you got Donald Trump standing up there acting like the tough guy, acting like the man's man, and when it was his time to serve, he didn't do it. But then he wants to step back and say who can and who can't. And this is nothing more than to stir up his base and stir up that hate. Because the more they stir that hatred and the more they stir that pot, the more they can control their people. But what that does, it causes their people to put the hate and animosity on people who do not deserve it. And the abuse that the transgender community has taken, courtesy of Donald Trump, and it all goes back to him in my opinion. It all goes back to him. The abuse that they have had to take from him has been so unnecessary. Society should have progressed. We should have moved along a lot further. We shouldn't be going back in time. When you got people talking about, yeah, it was good back in 1890, I don't want to go back to 1990. And I thought it was a pretty cool year, but I still don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back to 2010. I don't want to go back. I mean, at this particular moment, it would kind of be nice to go back before the election. But I don't want to go back in time. I want to see us progress. I want to see us move forward. And I want to see people get to live their lives however they choose. And it's none of my business. It's absolutely none of my business how someone chooses to live their life or how they choose to identify. And if they choose to go out and serve their country, if they choose to go out and do that, I'm sure as hell not going to sit back and judge them, considering that I didn't. Who am I to sit back and say, hey, you can't serve, and you can't serve openly, and you can't be who you are, but sit back and defend my right to be an asshole on Facebook? That's where we're at with this. And it's just so tiresome that they have to just continue to pick at this issue. And all it does is causes so much stress, it causes so much harm, and they don't even seem to care. They don't care. We know they don't. But I truly appreciate y'all for sticking with me here on the channel and standing by me. I'm always going to stand by you. I'm going to try my best to always, be on the right side of things. I may not always get things right, but the thing about it is, at this point, we're just trying to talk and make sense of things in such a chaotic time. We're in such a chaotic time with so much information coming at us from so many different angles that it's truly hard to keep track of it all. And I can't imagine if on top of that, I mean, I'm just a straight white dude in East Tennessee, so I can pretty much, go anywhere I want to go. But I can't imagine being part of a community that just had a target on them by a president and who just kept egging his people on. I can't imagine what it's like. My heart goes out to you. I love y'all. Take care of yourself. I'm going to continue to say this. Take care of yourself. Take care of your mental health. Put your mental health first. And it's day 10. Thought we was only supposed to go through this shit for one day.